Good morning. My name is Satinka, and I have something to share with you. And I'm actually excited about it. It's going to be a little sad, but I'm excited because I'll give you a little background to begin with. I am a mom, and all of that started when I was 17. And yes, I was a single parent for a little while. And, although I was in a safe place and had my son, I knew very early on that I was experiencing some emotional imbalances. And, that was a long time ago now. But I really can feel a lot of those things burned in that I remember very well. And I know that my journal, that a lot of my journal entries go in through a lot of things that I don't think anybody, we probably all go through it, we probably all think it, but there were a lot of them where I would say, what's wrong with me? I'm going to lose it. I feel out of control. And I'm a woman of faith, so I would be, talking to the Lord in my journal, and I'd say, how do I just be content? I have a nice life and I have a beautiful son. And I would just get so frustrated with myself thinking, why do I feel so low? Why do I feel so much pain? Why do I feel so sad? And I had some good tools. I had some, I was careful enough. I knew I needed to have some beach days. I knew that I needed to spend time with family. I knew I needed to spend time at church. I knew I needed to get out and do things, but I just would get stuck in my head so many times. And one of the things that probably made it the most difficult were times that I would get upset with my son. And there is a difference. There's totally a difference between discipline and completely just flipping out. And that was me a lot of the time, where I would see it and I was in the moment, but I would have to take a step back. And it was really hard to take that step back. But later I would just become depressed because I can't believe I just got so mad over something so useless, really. And the thing that scared me the most is emotionally my son, or what I was experiencing with my son. I remember experiencing it with my mom when I was younger. And, you're a child. You don't realize that there's anything different. And, I remember a lot of times where my mom would be practically in hysterics. I don't know why I'm being so vague here, but, it's hard. It's hard to think back and think that my mom would get so upset. And yeah, she had it tough. It was hard. She was in a poor relationship. That didn't help. But then I would draw the contrast with myself and I'd be like, but I'm not in such turmoil that my mom was in. I'm not in a bad relationship. And it was hard to separate, but I could recognize it, and I saw a lot of similarities. And to seeing other people, seeing other parents, and they were able to manage their children and do these things, and but again, maybe it's just because they were at church or we were together, and they didn't flip out. But I just really thought, like, man, okay, it must just be me. I don't see anybody else doing it. It must just be me. This is the way it is. This is the way my mom was, and lots of crying, lots of screaming, and lots of really feeling like, am I doing a good job, or am I fit? Am I fit to mother my child the way that TV shows me, or the neighbors show me, or storybook land, And so that's all the emotional stuff. But what really got me to a place where I was ready to deal with something was, I had gotten married, and after being married, I had another son, and then fast forward, I'm pregnant again, and I was dealing with a lot of physical troubles that I had been experiencing for a long time. You know, things that I've written down so I don't forget, and I can share with you. But my digestive system was a mess. You know, I'm in my third trimester of my third pregnancy. I was feeling like crap. I really was. You know, I had a good job. My job was being at home with the kids and homeschooling, and I loved it, but I really, really, really felt like crap. Again, I was emotionally, I just was like, why am I doing this? Maybe I should quit homeschooling and go back to work, because at least that was stress that I was used to, you know, because I had been in the office life for years and years, and just thought maybe I'm not good for this, you know, my being able to handle kids. Now I'm with more kids, and it was hard. But when I reached out to a friend, because of all my digestive issues, we won't get into that, but I reached out to a friend and I told her about all of the stuff I was going through physically, and I didn't tell her about the emotional stuff because I was afraid to. Just like I had been afraid to for many years, to say anything to anybody that I was this sad, or that I was this this close to losing my mind. I always felt like that's what it was, and you know, being afraid of going into rage, or being afraid to going into a fit over certain things. I didn't tell her all of that, but she started me on some of our herbs that we use with Solle Naturals, and they really helped with all my digestive things fairly quickly. But about 6 months after consistent use, that's when my family started to notice. My husband was the one who pointed it out. He's like, your fuse is a lot longer. I'm like, what do you mean? You know, I wasn't getting as mad as quickly as I was. And that made me start to pay attention. That made me listen to some of the other stories a little closer. And when I saw it, I could start to draw some lines and see some huge differences, because there were things that would happen and I could, you know, take care of it. I could respond to it. I'd go grab a rag, start cleaning it up. But to really think back and like, wow, if that were a few months ago, I would have been yelling. Wow, if that were a few months ago, I probably would have smacked him. If that were a few months ago, you know, and I could even think of relationship things, like if someone said something to me and I would take offense to it, or I would read into things that were happening and I thought, maybe they don't like me, maybe I'm not doing this right, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I shouldn't be here. I mean, there were things where I could really, really see that, wow, that went really well, and I didn't think it would. And to get to that point where you can see a difference and you know that the old you would have responded differently, that's huge. That is seriously, that is what's changed my life, because I always felt like I was a prisoner to how I felt in my mind and in my thoughts and my emotions and my responses. I really felt like I was alone, and it was really difficult to share with other people because I was just afraid. Because, you know, in my young life with my mom, we had quite a few CPS visits. We had quite a few CPS encounters, and even being taken from our home at one point in my life, and that was very traumatic, and that's burned in. That was burned in, and I just thought, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to feel like that's always knocking on my door, and to feel that I have found something that has made such a difference in my emotions, and being stable and being able to respond to things, and then teach my kids that, like, yeah, you don't just flip out, but now I actually can show them that you don't just flip out. and use your words. Take a break, walk away when you need to. And that really excites me about the future too, because there's so many things that when you have children that you want to share with your kids, you want to teach your kids, but when you feel like you can't even be an example of what that looks like, it really brings you to a place that you wonder, are you doing a good job? And are you going to be able to? Because you can tell them all you want, but there's things that they watch, there's things that they see in you, and they're going to do what you do. And that's what has me excited, because I have gotten to that place where I don't just have to say, do this. Don't just use your words. Don't just say this. Don't just do that. Just wait a minute, I actually can do that. I actually can show them, and they can mimic that. And that excites me, because then too, emotionally, my kids are safe to say things. They're safe to show what they're feeling. And now I'm just on a mission to help other moms, because if you can find that balance, if you can find that safe place within your heart and in your spirit that I'm cool, yeah, that hurt. Yeah, that makes me sad. Yeah, that was terrible. But to be able to go through it and get to the other side in a sensible way, at least for yourself, whatever that looks like, I can't wait to help other people get to the other side of emotional bondage. And if you have any questions, or you want to know more about what it is I was actually doing with my food and my supplements and my herbs, and just reach out and I can give you some more particulars. But basically, I just wanted to share with you my getting to the other side and finding emotional balance.